Hey, Dr. Alan Christianson here. I want to talk about how you lose weight if you're in menopause. And the big picture is that it is possible, and there can be some pitfalls to sort out, but once they're done, it can be just as straightforward as it is during other times in life, thankfully. So during menopause, there's a lot of things that are pausing, so to speak. Of course, the ovaries are the main glandular organ that's decreasing their output. But also we're seeing a decrease in androgenic hormones. And those come from the ovaries, but they also come from the adrenals. So testosterone, DHEA, they decline. And they affect how the body controls blood sugar, and they control whether the same fuel gets directed towards muscle tissue as glycogen or towards visceral fat as just more fat growth. We also see that there's a change in the cortisol to cortisone ratios during menopause. So even independent of what the adrenal glands do, there's more cortisol, and that can be made by the visceral fat, by the liver, and also by the brain. And then we're seeing more strain on the adrenals in general. So in general, the ovaries are making less and less of their hormone, and the adrenals have to make more to compensate. So specifically, as estradiol goes down, the adrenals have to work harder to make estrone to compensate for it. And when they do, they have less capacity to make DHEA, testosterone, and even cortisol and cortisone. Another factor is that thyroid disease increases. Each decade of life, the risks for that get higher. And it's often unmasked during times of big hormonal shifts. So adolescence, when cycles start, pregnancy, menopause, those are all big windows of time in a woman's life when thyroid disease often comes about when it's present. Another pause that happens, there's a thing called hepatopause. So the liver becomes less able to regulate fuel properly. When a liver is perfectly healthy, it stores any extra fuel and divvies that out later on when you need it. But if it gets less healthy, it has less room to store glycogen, and it gets jammed full of triglycerides. This leads to fatty liver, but also makes it to where there's no more real window of metabolism, to where every extra amount of food is stored, and anytime you decrease your food intake, you feel wiped out. So that's the pitfall about hepatopause. There can also be a decrease in basal metabolic rate, but that is proportionate to loss of muscle mass. So that's something we'll talk more about, and that's reversible. So the main approach is to really help regain this balance of hormones, and the adrenals are central to that. So the adrenal reset diet is structured to regain a healthy cortisol slope. High cortisol in the morning, less cortisol as the day progresses. And this is done not so much by cutting out or avoiding, or it's not like good or bad. It's really about rhythm and timing. So it focuses upon whole, natural, simple foods, but always getting a nice mixture of good carbs, good fats, and good proteins, but then timing them as well, so that the carb intake is lowest in the morning and it's highest as the day goes along. And that's done because carbohydrate lowers cortisol. And in the morning you don't need that, but later in the day you do. We see all the relationships between sleep and body weight, and you need some cortisol at night for good sleep. And also you need to have your body making a good cortisol rhythm so the adrenals can help to compensate for the changes that are occurring with the ovaries during menopause. With that, there's also an advantage to getting healthy amounts of protein. The adrenal reset diet also gives a healthy amount of protein, roughly 25 to 30% of calories from protein. And that makes it to where muscle mass stays on you. You don't lose it as easily. Combine that with some strength training, some appropriate levels of aerobic exercise, and weight gain during menopause is not inevitable. There's also the adrenal reset challenge, which allows you to, in a period of a few weeks, reset the adrenals and also get rid of anywhere from like 9 to 15 pounds of stored visceral fat and reset the cycle and reboost the metabolism. So easy way for a good jump start. But many reasons come together to make weight gain easier during menopause, but no one of those is insurmountable. And once you really identify and take care of those causative factors, you can still maintain good, healthy body weight and great energy, regardless of hormone levels and regardless of menopause status. So take great care. We'll talk again really soon. Bye-bye.